How's everybody doing? Come on, we can do better than that. This is the first session. There we go. My name is Aaron Price. I like pink pants. Easy to find me. Come hang out. I'm the co-founder with Gabe and Justin Shear of LiveCube. So I have some good news, right? First is that this clicker doesn't work. Not as good news. So this event will be interactive. We want to hear from you. You want to hear from each other. And to do that, you can go to gs.livecubeapp.com right now on any device, find this session, and join the conversation. So if you pull up gs.livecubeapp.com right now, I want to see heads down, pull this up. You're going to see all the sessions from this event, right? You'll see a listing of all the speakers who are here. You can follow just the logistics information. You can jump into each session and add questions and comments. We can make things interactive. This is not intended to be a one-way conference. This is intended to be a place where you can share ideas, add questions and commentary to each session, and really be part of the event. And as you do so, it wouldn't be the GSummit without this. You'll earn points and prizes and badges and things like meet and greets, like Sasha from the pregame won a meet and greet with Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is pretty awesome. Congratulations. There's signed books, there's Xboxes, there's things from sponsors, there's all sorts of great prizes, so get involved. Add your best comments, and you'll start earning prizes. And to kickstart things, a lot of you have started asking about what is the deal with these teams and these shirts and the feedback. And so right now, we're going to give you your first points if you haven't claimed them already. So we are going to launch the space race. So go to that URL. And while you're pulling it up, I'll show you part of our projected view. So you can see here some leaderboards of those of you who've been involved already, right? Our top point earners. You can see some of the social media use that we've had already. So with the pregame, we hit about 4.8 million Twitter followers. With the reach of those who are participating, we've now upped to about 5.5. And so if we can pull up the space race, which is being launched as we speak, I think. All right, we will come back to the space race later. And how are we doing, Justin? What's the key to refresh on here? Yes or no? All right, we'll come back to the space race. Sorry to disappoint, but I promise you will like it. So if you jump into this session and share your most interesting comments, other people will retweet or repost them. You can sign in with Twitter, or we can have a completely private experience for those of you who are not so into social media, but you can still repost messages. And at the end of this session, we're going to give 20 points away to the top 3 reposted message earners. So get involved in the conversation and share your comments. So Gabe mentioned a little bit about what is LiveCube. We set out, as you mentioned, it was partially born here. We set out to see what could we do to make the event experience more interactive and more interesting. And how could we make it so that you can use your devices to be part of this experience and be more engaged in this event? Because it turns out that you guys are very distracted. And so we wanted to see what we could do to make it a more interesting and interactive experience. And we did this because people go to events really for 2 key reasons. If you think about any event you've been to, really worldwide, you're there for 2 reasons. You want to learn new ideas, right? You're here because you hear about gamification. What the hell's gamification? People keep talking about gamification. Leave me alone about gamification. But you're here to learn about these new ideas, and you're here to meet new people. So you're here to see who else is in the room. Maybe there's somebody here who you're looking to hire. Maybe you're looking to find some new sales contacts. Maybe you're looking for a new friend. Maybe you're looking for more than a friend. But regardless, you're looking to meet people in this room, right? So why can't we use technology in a way that enhances that experience? And like I said, you're really distracted. You guys are looking at your devices, maybe here more so because I'm encouraging it, but in general, people look at their devices 10 times an hour. Once every 6 minutes, at least twice while I'm even up here on stage, a general audience looks at their device. And that means they're no longer here mentally in this room. They're looking at Facebook, they're checking out Candy Crush, maybe they have a real crush, but they're no longer engaged in this actual room, right? And it doesn't really matter because you'll go to Twitter, right? Because event technology is really uber lame. I don't know if you guys have used event apps before, but they're not all that exciting. So you ignore the potential of event apps for the most part. You just want to share your ideas. So we use this thing called the Hastag, which gives us an instant chat room, right? Twitter made this phenomenal feature where anybody anywhere can instantly create a chat room and sort the conversation, which on its own seems really cool, but then pop culture took over, and there's like hashtag Throwback Thursdays and OMGs and Mom Leave Me Alone, and it turns what could be this interesting conversation that maybe you could find if you spell it right into this mess of noise. You can't make sense of this noise. And then if you're in an event, if you think about the context of an event, how do you even track what's going on in this room? How do you see what's the most relevant? How do you see who's posting, again, without being distracted? How can we make it real-time interactive where you can follow the conversation and be part of the experience? And so it turns that hashtag into a giant mess, right? I hope you didn't bring your kids. So we added gamification and built LiveCube, right? We wanted to make it interactive and we wanted to make it engaging. And so we give points for a variety of things that make it a more interactive and engaging experience, like posting a photo, which is shown to be 5 times more engaging than a text message. Little hint for you, pro tip, in general, if you're using social media, include photos, you get 80% better engagement. And what happens is the audience is really set on fire because, first of all, imagine if I said to you before, and we'll try that space race back in a minute, but if I said go to that URL and download our app. First of all, it's socially awkward. It's not instant on. I know there are some limits that some of you have pointed out to us with being a web app, but it's not a very engaging and immediate experience. And by using our web app, it organizes the conversation so you could follow the conversation within each session. We auto-populate in that hashtag, so you don't have to worry about, is it GS, is it GS14, is it GS 2014, is it Gabe Rocks? It doesn't really make a difference because we pre-populate the hashtags for you. And by doing that, we've caused a lot of events to be top trending in times that used to take them a lot longer or never happen at all. We have both private and public options. I mentioned before, you can sign in with Twitter. We're adding other networks. You can sign in with an email address and password. It's driven by interactivity. It's not driven by being a brochure, which is what most of the other event-type experiences are for. And at the end of the day, can't this be just a little bit more fun? Can we make this a little bit more fun? And a lot of you have told me you've been having more fun. Somebody told me it's the most fun he had in an event in a pregame ever, except this company hasn't let me legally release that publicly, so I can't say who it is. That was him. And so it makes the whole conversation a lot easier to follow. And so let me tell you about what happens, right? So we talked about this game, the GSummit pregame. And so we analyzed what happened at that pregame. First, I want to show you some metrics that happen generally on Twitter. These aren't going to be completely apples to apples. You guys are welcome to poke some holes in them, which I'm sure some of you will. But general engagement on Twitter shows that 40% of people on Twitter abandon their accounts altogether. 40% of people on Twitter don't even use them. 54% of people on Twitter post once. Okay? Once. So we're going to call that light usage. The moderate to heavy users is 6% of the audience. It's really 1% of the audience posts most of the content. All right? So let's take a look at how that compares to what happened here, just at this pregame. We had 165 people sign in, actually register for accounts, generate 3,700 posts, 240 photos, 4,200 retweets or reposts. And I mentioned before we touched a Twitter audience of about 5 million followers. That was before the event even started, right? Before this event even started, we had all this activity, and many of you were talking with each other. Some of you were complaining to me about LiveCube. I appreciate that. But regardless, there was a massive conversation going on about what's going to happen at this event in a way that never happened before. 86% of the people who posted earned a retweet. When was the last time that happened to you? When was the last time 86% of anything happened in a social media environment? Right? And so let's take a look at how that broke down. 30% of the attendees, or 30% of the users, didn't post at all. So we did a little bit better there. 24% of the people posted once, but 46% of the audience posted more than twice. 16% of the attendees posted more than 10 times. 7% of you, kind of crazy hardcore people, posted more than 100 times. More than 100 posts before the event even started. And because of that, we now know we'd have to tweak the system. But it was a really interesting opportunity for us. So if we look at how that compares to just general Twitter engagement, right, they get 6% moderate to heavy usage. We had 46% moderate to heavy usage before the event even started. Let's take a look at what these numbers look like after this event is even over. Now, you might say to me that this audience is kind of crazy because this is the Gamification Summit, so maybe this is not a normal usage behavior. So I just want to show you some of our clientele and give you some metrics on one of these guys on how they implement LiveCube at their events, right? So we work with very public events like this, or completely private events like Verizon Wireless, who is here but won't let me share their numbers, but welcome, Bill and the Verizon Wireless team. But I can share with you the numbers from the Business Marketing Association, right? This is the top B2B marketers who are VPs and CMOs from the top Fortune 500 companies. Average age was 45. didn't self-identify as particularly high social media users, sort of moderate tech savviness. They really like talking about and being about technology, but sort of struggle with the devices and things like close the tab and they don't know what to do, and high skepticism, right? These guys are being sold to all the time. So at their event, this is a 2.5-day event, 513 people registered for the app. They posted 7,000 messages, over 600 photos, earned 5,800 retweets, and touched a Twitter audience of over 30 million Twitter followers. So this is an event that's been going on for about a decade. Last year, the same event took 3 days to top trend in Chicago on Twitter. This year, it took 3 hours. It's a highly engaged audience. If we look at their metrics, right, these are normal people. These are not people hardcore on gamification. So slightly fewer, as I mentioned, a little more skeptical. 48% never posted. 9% posted once. And then things got a little interesting, because this is what gamification is about, right? We can't totally get you to do something new for the first time, but we can get you to increase your behavior by giving you some incentives. 42% of that audience posted twice or more, right? Compared to 6% on general Twitter usage. If you look at generally events, it's somewhere in the 5 to 10% space. We're getting 42% there, 46% here before it even started. We think it really works. We had one guy there who hasn't posted on his Twitter account in 4 years. And what he posted, his first tweet back was, "Thanks LiveCube for bringing me out of Twitter retirement." Hashtag BMA14, which we populated in there, so we didn't have to worry about misspelling that hashtag. And this guy went on to join the leaderboards and was one of the more engaged users overall. So it really works and it really motivates. So a lot of you have asked, in particular, who've been participating in the pregame, about what is next. So I want to share with you here some of the things that we're working on. So the first is a better user interface. So we're starting on a completely fresh look that's mobile first, that loads faster, and that still focuses around those 2 key objectives, right? You're here to learn ideas and to meet people. So we're focusing around that stream and how it's really easy to see content in the stream, but find valuable content and find valuable people. So there's no I in team. I'll show you some of the team stuff a little bit later on. But you guys in the pregame really latched on to the idea of teams and what else can teams do and how can we get teams engaged and what else am I going to do stuff on my teams. So first of all, we have shirts at our booth that once you sign in with LiveCube, you're assigned to a team. We'll give you your team color. If you work hard on LiveCube, you'll help your team elevate in its total score, and we're going to be unveiling a few opportunities for teams to have some VIP privileges over the next couple of days. So check out the teams. But we want to hear other ideas you have there. We don't want to limit the use to just email address or LiveCube account and Twitter. So we're adding LinkedIn, we're adding Facebook, we're adding Instagram, because who cares what networks you're on? We just want the conversation in one single stream. Again, we want to be able to bring the most relevant content together in one place. And again, for private events, for companies like Verizon, we can turn that social media component completely off. So they still get that same compelling social media type experience in a controlled and safe way. So we're giving out 10 points for good ideas. Stop by our booth. If you share a reasonably good idea about an icebreaker, if you share a reasonably good idea about a networking idea or other things that you have, many of you have done this already, so if you come back now, I'll give you an extra 10 points. I definitely want to hear things that you guys want to add to this. I know there are a lot of really talented, interesting people here who have already made some great suggestions. I appreciate those. And I can't really see because these blinding lights, but Justin, are we good to go on Space Race? We're going to try. By the way, it took me like 8 hours to make that happen on that animation. So let's see how we do. If you haven't already pulled up the app, go to gs.livecubeapp.com, and with a little luck, it will pop up for us this time. So the good news is you get to see me again on stage if I can convince Gabe to let us run the space race again. Thank you very much for your time. If you guys have questions about LiveCube, find us at the booth. Have fun. Hopefully I'll see you on the leaderboards. I'm the guy in the pink pants if you want to talk. Thank you very much. Gabe, come on back up.